Well, for more on the deepening power cuts gripping the country, we're joined by the South African Federation of Trade Unions General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi. Mr. Vavi, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. Pravin Gordhan and Eskom really looking at workers as being the central drivers for why we are on stage 6, at least by way of this industrial action that we've seen over the last couple of days. Some energy experts believe that that's very easy scapegoating. What's your view?
It's an utter hogwash. It's absolutely a nonsense. It's an excuse that has been played over and over again. Today is a strike, the other day is a bolt that slipped into the Boilermaker, the other day is a spanner, the other day there's a sabotage, the other day there's everything under the sky. They are refusing to take responsibility. Both the Minister of Public Enterprises, Minister Pravin Gordhan, and the CEO they love so much, who, despite his dismal record in every aspect of his key performance indicators, they still love him. They still give him a vote of confidence. Year in, year out, and he continues to fail the Eskom, the economy of this country, its people, and continue to push the entire prospect of us growing under the bus. Today's announcement coincided with a meeting of the Political and Ideological Commission of SAFTU, where the presidents and the general secretaries of the affiliates were meeting over the political policy of the Federation. We had to discuss the threat, now a reality, that we are pushed into uncharted waters of a stage 6 of load shedding, which comes in the background of a 13 years of load shedding that have gone on unabated for many, many years at the hands of this government and these ministers and this helpless CEO, CFO, and the board that just doesn't seem to know whether it is dark or not, or is daylight, as long as they in their own homes, they have the light 24 hours, 7 days a week, and 365 days in a year, whilst the workers are mired in poverty, in inequality, in desperate levels of hopelessness, as indicated by the death of 21 young kids in a tavern in East London. The leadership of the Federation is very clear. It is now time to draw the line on the sand. This and not any point any further. We've got to fight back, and we are convinced that the only way that we can convince this government to do something about the crisis in Eskom is when we are mounting a total shutdown of the economy, a general strike, which we will be debating on Monday in our National Executive Committee, and hence we're making a call to all civil society formations, other working class formations, to all other federations, all left-leaning political formations in our country, including political parties, to debate that call for a response, an appropriate response to the crisis that has not only meant that we are in darkness and we are standing right in the doorsteps of a failed state, a banana republic, where there's totally no accountability on the part of those that are plunging our country into darkness and robbing our economy its prospect to grow and therefore absorb the 3.5 million people who are unable to be active in the labor market of our country. No, we cannot go beyond this particular point. It's enough. And our call to everybody, go back to your structures and but prepare for a proper response of the working class united across all of its political divides and its historical divisions.
The economy is already being shut down by lack of stable and consistent power supply. How do you think that a shutdown that is coordinated between yourselves and including other members of trade union, civil society, how do you think that's going to make a difference?
We've got to put a stop 13 years of load shedding, 13 years of workers being sent home to be told that they will not be paid their full salaries, 13 years of sitting in darkness and be the sitting ducks to the crime and the revolving criminals of no particular origin, as Huma Sekela will say. 13 years of an economy that have been put and placed on its knees by the rolling blackout. Now, all that is combined by a escalation and worsening of the living standards of all workers and the working class formations in our country. The price of diesel, of petrol, of paraffin, of gas is escalating beyond the reach of ordinary people in our country. The price of food as a result of those factors is escalating beyond the reach of our people. We used to quote a statistic from Oxfam that there are about 14, 15 million South Africans who go to bed on an empty stomach every day in our country. We wonder how many are they going to be today in the context of the 2 million jobs that were lost in 2020, the million more that was lost in 2021, and we are now in 2022 when we saw some small prospect of GDP growth on the first quarter of 2022. We suddenly get hammered left, right, and center by ESCOM, whose management is not being held accountable by the government. It is now time for the workers and to take responsibility to hold the Minister of Finance, Minister of Public Enterprises accountable by showing him the door, occupy the streets, and until the president is forced to release to pension, to release the current CEO of ESCOM to an early pension, and to demand that ESCOM be placed on the hands of people, and so that it can start the process of renewables that themselves must be placed on the hands of communities and the working people in our country as we move our country away from the current crisis of a carbon-based economy into a more renewable economy, but renewables that will be fully in the hands, not of the IPPs that are friends of this government coming from Europe and elsewhere, but renewables that will be placed on the hands of the working people and the communities.
Mr. Vavi, if we listen previously to what Cabinet and the President himself have said about the CEO, Andre de Ruyter, they continue to express confidence in him to be able to move South Africa out of this crisis. In the event of him remaining in his position, what advice would you have for the utility in as far as fostering better relations with their employees? Yes, it could be a far stretch to simply blame employees for the fact that we have stage 6 load shedding, but this week's stay away has certainly had an impact in exacerbating the problem.
Oh, no, the president is no longer staying in Soweto. The regrettable part is that, like many other middle-class citizens who left their townships and moved into the suburbs, the president and the people who are defending the raiders do not have any conscience left in them. They do not feel what the people in Soweto and other townships are feeling. And as we speak at this particular moment, do not know that actually there is an effective apartheid that is being enforced yet again. When we in the suburbs experience a 2-hour, 3 times a day of load shedding, our people in the townships, in the rural areas, in the informal settlement, actually have to face 6, 8 hours, 3 days, a week, 2 weeks without electricity. Enough is enough. We call for maximum unity between those communities who are plunged into darkness day in, day out, with the workers organized and unorganized, with the unemployed who are the face of this crisis of unemployment, with them 66% unemployed, and or 76% of them unemployed if you look only at those below the age of 24. We're calling for unity with women who are leading the service delivery protest in the streets, to unite with the youth, to unite with the workers, and to make a statement that says, President, if you do not act against your minister and your lovely and your loved, beloved CEO at ESCOM, we are going to go for you now. We're going to call on you to resign, and so that a different government that cares about the plight of our people everywhere else in our townships can take over, and so that a new CEO can take us away from the disastrous road that we have been led into for 13 years by hapless and different CEOs that have been there. But now we know that the current CEO actually have a record above all other previous CEOs. No one has been so blatant in his failure to take us off the current crisis. More than anyone else, the Reuters is leading. If you look at the number of days that we have been plunged into load shedding under his leadership, is incredible. There's racism here too, because I can't imagine that Jacob Murocha, the previous CEO of ESCOM and others that were blacks, would have been spared for doing what the Reuters is doing to this economy, to this country, to its citizens. He's been given a free rein to basically destroy our future, and precisely because some people who employed them clearly are still suffering from the past of treating black people and white people different, instead of using a strict measure that those who do not deliver and on electricity and who can't guarantee this economy access to energy that can help us operate our mining industry, our small, medium, macro enterprises all over the country, must either do that or be shown the door. This is scandalous that we still have this man at the helm of CEO despite his disastrous record.
SAFTU General Secretary there, Zwelinzima Vavi, you heard they're going to be mobilizing for mass action, including a complete shutdown of the economy that could well include other organizations from different parts of society.